Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Bohan. Today I'm going to walk you through the challenge Obfuscated on the cyberdefenders.org. The challenge is prepared by the Josh Strojan, and it is a Maldoc analysis with micro embedded in the file. So the tools we are going to use is CMD Watcher and Oledump, and I have already downloaded the file. So let's just getting started. So the first question we can look at is what is the SHA-256 hash of the doc file? I have my Kali machine here opened, and I also have a Windows machine here used to analyze the Maldoc. So for the first question, it's pretty straightforward. We can go into where my file located at the tools folder, and we can use the SHA-256 sum with the file name as the argument, and we can just get in the hash value, which is the answer for the question 1. And for the second question, multiple streams contain macros in this document, provides a number of lowest one. So for this one, we would need the Oledump for this one. So I'm going to do is I'm going to use Python 3 Oledump and pass the malicious file as an argument, and we can see that there's the M represents as a micro file in the Maldoc, and we see that both stream 8 and the stream 8 and the stream 9 both has M, which they have micro included. But since the question is asking for the lowest number which has a micro, which the answer should be the number 8. And for the third question, what is the decryption key of the obfuscated code? For this one, we can look at, there's a two way you can do it. Obviously, the first way you can do it is by look at the micro stream. We can use stream 8 as argument, and we can doing the verbose. So we get the original obfuscated micro code in here, and if you carefully looking at the code, you will find the answer is located at here. So this is a decryption key. But we can try another way. We can use a CMD Watcher to watch the command being executed when the Maldoc being spawned. So I'm going to start my CMD Watcher. So how CMD Watcher works is basically it will watch all the processes being command line process being spawned, and whenever one of the command line was being spawned, it will kill it, and it will display the command being spawned in this window. So I'm going to start my CMD Watcher in here, and I'm going to open this folder, right? So I have my malicious file in here, and I'm going to open it with my Word 0365. So the file, it is like a embassy file, pretend to be an embassy of the Republic of this country, and we can see that once this file being once this micro document being opened, it automatically executed this command, which will have wscript.exe executing this file located at this location, main.tools.js file, with this decryption key being passed into this file to decrypt the code. So we know that the third question, the answer is this one, this string. What is the name of the dropped file? Obviously, you can see that the command line will have this file being created, which is main.tools.js. And the fifth question, this script uses what language? We can examine the code, right? So we can go into that folders, save folders. We can go into the administrator, right? Users, administrator, app data, roaming, Microsoft, Windows. We can see that our main tools are being created. Main tools was being created in here, so we can open it. We can see they have code in here. So if you don't know the JS file that being executed in the Windows, it is like a Microsoft version of the JavaScript. So the script uses what language? Is JScript, which is a special kind of JavaScript made made by the Microsoft and used in the Windows. So the question 6. What is the name of the variable that is assigned the command line arguments? So for this one, you have to analyze the code a bit. The first step I'm going to do is I'm going to, since the code is not very easy to read like this, I'm going to beautify it. So I'm going to use a JavaScript code beautifier. So you can use any website, but I just found this website. You can use like a beautify code, and right now the code was being beautified, so it is a lot more easier to read in this case. So we can just create a new notepad file, and I'm going to save this file to the desktop, so for easier to analyze. Let's just call it beautified, right? So the first question, the question 6 is asking for what is the name of the variable that is assigned the command line arguments. We can look at the code, right? So we can see that they have a try catch function here. In the JavaScript, I think that try is like it will be executing all these functions in this try block, and if there's any errors, we have the wscript.quit, which is if catches any errors, it will automatically quit this terminate this execution. So we see that wscript.arguments being assigned to these variables. So that is variables that are gonna take the command line arguments. So that is the answer. And question 7, how many command line arguments does this script expect? For this question, you can just look at the second line of this block. So this variable is being assigned by this command line argument, and you're expecting to pass one of the arguments 0 to this function to this command line argument. So which is one argument, but you can always check the CMD Watcher. It is expecting the decryption key be passed to this JavaScript file to be used. This decryption key will be passed into this code to use to decrypt this code in here. So this code is being encrypted in here. So we know that the number of the argument is 1. What instruction? So number 8. What instruction is executed if this script encounters an error? So we know that this one, you can see that I have explained earlier that you have a try block, and if there's any errors, it will be catched by this block, and it will execute the wscript.quit, which will terminate the execution. For the question 9, what function returns the next stage of code. For example, the first round of the obfuscated code. So this one, it will be, the answer is the y3zb, this function. So what essentially it's gonna do is to, if you look at the y3zb, this code is, this block of the code, this whole block of the code is being encrypted. So this essentially, this function, what it does is try to decrypt this. This is the second stage of code, and that decryption key was being passed into this code and trying to decrypt this whole block of the code. So this is the second stage of the code, and it will returns the decrypted code once it was being decrypted. So the function name is y3zb, and the question 10, the function lxv5 is an important function. What variable is assigned a key string value in determining what this function does. So if you look at the code, if you go into that function, you can see that you have a string here, which this question, obviously it has some hint in there, so it definitely gives you a hint what variable is assigned a key string value in determining what this function does. So the variable, obviously, the only one has a string here is this one, so you know that answer is LUK7. So for the question 11, what encoding scheme is this function responsible for decoding? So for this function lxv5, which is one of the functions used for decoding, it is not really obvious at first, but you can see that we have this we have this line here, which is checking for if this second last of the character is strictly equals to equals, and last character in here is if it's strictly equals to equal. So if you know that base 64, it has like a equal in the end, so we know that this is like a base 64 decoding function here. So it basically checks if it's a base 64, and if it is, it will proceed into decode it. And question 12 and question 13, you have to understand what kind of encryption this function used, which is not very obvious at first, but you can see that the question 12, you have to know what kind of encryption it used in order to answer question 12. So I suggest you go into the question 15 first. So you need to figure out what kind of encryption algorithm does this function cppt implement in the script. So you have to do some research for this one. If you Google it, you will find that if you Google the RC4 algorithm, right? If we go into the gigs for gigs, right? You will see that we have this key scheduling algorithm in here as our initializations, and this is very similar to what we have in here, right? So the first couple for loops is used for like initializations in our code. So we know that this definitely you need to do some research on the Google, but once you figure out it is RC4 encryption in the code, we know that the question 15, the answer is RC4, and if you look back the question 12 in the function, cppt, the first two for loops are responsible for what important part of this function. So we look at the algorithm in here. We know that it is a key scheduling algorithm, which is used for initialization. And for the questions 13 and 14, the function cppt requires two arguments. Where does the value of the first argument come from? Basically, the first argument, it is taking, if you look at the cppt all the way up in here, you will see that this is taking SSWZ into pass as argument. The SSWZ, basically it is a command line argument, which is decryption key was being passed into the command as a command line argument, and it will be passed into this RC4 decryption function and used as a decryption key to decrypt this code in here. So we know that the answer for question 13 is command line argument, and question 14 for the function cppt, what does the first argument represents? It represents as a key. So question 16, what function is responsible for executing the deobfuscated code? So once the code was being deobfuscated, it will be passed back to the main function, right? It will be passed back to the main function, and it will use one of the native function in JavaScript, eval, to executing this deobfuscated JavaScript code, right? So the answer for that one is eval. And question 17, what Windows script host program can be used to execute this script in command line mode? So in the Windows, you have WinScript.exe, right? So, and you have the cscript.exe. So cscript.exe, so they have like these two different. They both can be used as like executing the JavaScript in Windows, but this one yeah. So I think for the cscript.exe is to use as if you look at the Microsoft Docs, this one is a starts a script to run in a command line environment, right? So it is pretty similar to the wscript.exe, but this one is to, I think it can be used like in a command line environment, based on the explanation in the Microsoft Docs documentations, but we can also check the wscript.exe, which is provides an environment in which user can execute script in a variety of languages that use a variety of objects models to perform tasks. So it has some a little bit different, but so this one, this C script, it is the answer we're looking at. So it starts a script to run in a command line environment. So for the question 18, what is the name of the first function defined in the deobfuscated code? This one you have to use a cybershift to deobfuscate the code we are looking at earlier. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna essentially just deobfuscate this manually. First thing you're gonna do is to copy the whole block of this code to the cybershift, right? You're gonna to delete the extra coding here. So I'm going to delete the extra variable in the code, and all it left is encrypted code in here. And since we know that it uses two techniques. One is a base 64 decoding. This function is used like a basics for decoding, and this one is decrypt the RC4 encryption. So we know that there's a two function we're gonna use. One is base64 and another one is RC4, right? We're gonna put our passphrase in the code. So we're gonna go into the Windows and we're gonna copy the decryption key and we're gonna pass in here. So we got this Deobfuscated JavaScript code in here, and I'm gonna use my code beautifier. So once this code been beautified, we can open another notepad.exe, right? And we can just get the obfuscated beautified code in here. So the last question is asking for what is the name of the first function defined in the deobfuscated code. We know that the first function is the USPD, and that is the last question. And if we're going to one step further, we can look at the domain here. I guess it's like a malicious domain. Trying to download some malicious code. So we can look at the virus total, right? Comes back as clean, but this is definitely doing some malicious stuff, trying to executing some commands, right? So trying to getting the system infos, net view domains, task lists, GP results, netstate-nao, ipconfig, arp-a. So I think this code essentially what it does is trying to collecting the network information from this host and trying to collecting all the system information based on this command and sending to that remote malicious domain, sending all this information to that remote domain, so the attacker will getting all this information from this host. So that's what I believe what it does, but I haven't gone through the deeper to analyze this code. But if you're interested, you can definitely go deeper to figure out what exactly this code does. So that's all for today, and this special thanks for Josh Strojan to create this challenge, and I really enjoyed this challenge. And that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this challenge and enjoyed this video as well, and see you guys next time.